What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the Next Deal podcast. I am your host, Justin, and I'm flying solo today. Today is Vinny's 40th birthday. So by the time you'll see this, he'll be 40 years and 1 week old. So wish him a happy birthday, but he is off enjoying his day today. So just me today, and I am joined by a good friend of mine, Micah Johnson from 80/20 REI. Super excited to have you on here today. How's it going, Micah?
It's going well, man. How you doing today?
I'm good, man. I'm glad you're here.
Me too, dude. I've been looking forward to this. I actually checked my schedule about a week and a half ago. I was like, I know it's got to be coming up soon.
Yep.
It's got to be. And here we are, man. I'm pumped.
Yeah, likewise. It's funny. I've done the same thing a couple times with you and one other guest, Mike Kicko, actually, where I'm like, I know I have them scheduled. I know it's coming up at some point. I'm ready to do those ones. So super happy we've finally got this able to work here. But just kind of start off, man. Tell everyone a little bit about you.
Yeah. So my name is Micah Johnson. I'm with 80/20 REI. I'm their business development manager. So I've been with them be 2 years this June. Basically what I do is handle the sales calls and relationships. So that's how you and I met at CG Select.
Yep.
Getting out there, mixing it up with folks. And that's what I like to do. That's the part that's my background in the world. I have been in real estate since 2010. I got started in that as a realtor. So I came with experience, got in the investment world about 17, ended up moving about 1,000 houses myself. Well, in my career with my team and stuff, did about that and then switched out after 2020. Yeah, I canceled 33 houses in one day in March of 2020. Ooh. And then I took a break. Yeah. It was a rough day. It was a very rough day.
Man.
Yeah,
I don't think I've heard that story yet.
Woo, that's a fun one, man. And it was just when it's when COVID hit. I was working on I was the acquisitions director. We had a team and we were running. It was cool. We would move about 30 to 50 houses a month when a particular hedge fund relationship we had was buying. And it was sweet. It was a really good move. And we had built a whole system around it. And I'd done it for a couple years where that's how I got to that volume. So in Tampa and Jacksonville, dude, I could sling. It was really a good time.
Yeah.
However, March hits, I get a phone call. So what I did was all the inspectors would call me if something happened. And I get a phone call and it says, I hear somebody coughing on the other side of the door. I'm not going in there. And I said, that's not good. I said, well, I can't force you to go in there, man. Like I have no power to do that. So if that's what you're saying, that's the report we got to put out. In about 18 hours from that call, I had an email from the hedge fund canceling everything. They canceled everything they had under contract nationwide.
Wow.
Unless it was within a certain time period of closing, everything got canceled. They walked away from millions of dollars of binder money nationwide, did not care. Their model was just destroyed. And so I sat there. I remember this thinking like, okay, because this was the only customer we had served at the time. I knew after this, we were going to have to go back to the drawing board. This was big. Yeah. This was really big for us. Kidding. And so I was like, all right, I need to end this well. I need to end all these 33 relationships really well. Like this is 33 chances to make sure whatever we do next, that's a big deal. And I hand dialed every one of them. I spoke to every one of them in person. Whether I got all kinds of stuff on those phone calls, but it was, I felt like that's what I had to do, make sure I did it. And, pivoted that company's actually still in business. I went on to become their VP of professional development for a while, where I taught agents, about 50 real estate agents, how to work with investors. Good time. That was a fun time. I got one cool success story. He's really big on YouTube out of Tampa, Florida.
Oh, cool.
Out of that. Yeah.
Nice. That's awesome.
Anyways.
So what'd you say?
I said, yeah. Anyways.
Yeah.
You weren't ready for that, were you? We came out hot.
No, I did not know about that story. That's wild. I hate canceling one contract, let alone 33. That's a tall order right there, but that's awesome. I'm sure knowing you. Yeah. Knowing you, it went pretty well though.
Dude, it did. I'm thankful, and it taught me a lot. Right? It taught me that's where I'm obsessed with the question of what do you want to say you did, and I really focus on it hard when hard hits.
Mm-hmm.
Like when it's a really hard moment, and no matter what I've learned, 38 now, these things too shall pass. Whatever I'm going through, it will go by, and I'll get to look back on it. And that's what I'll actually do for the majority of my life, is look back on it. So
Yeah.
I'm obsessed with what do I want to say I did.
Mm.
And anytime it's always a win when you can look back and be proud of yourself.
Yeah.
It's always like in personal development, so much of it is like looking back and trying to fix your shit. But I'm sorry, I don't know if we can swear on this. Can you swear
Yeah.
on this one?
Feel free. I swear all the time.
Okay, good. Wasn't sure if we could do it on this one. You spend so much time trying to fix your shit that I've learned I'm into almost 10 years of intentional personal development where now I have a lot of intentional time spent in celebrating little things, just little
Mm-hmm.
moments. Any chance I can find to celebrate, I'm doing it.
Yep.
Like it just, and I love that because it's one, I used to not believe that you would do that, right? We'd always have a justification to beat ourselves up. And
Mm-hmm.
now it's like my justification is to celebrate. So that's a good
Yeah.
switch.
Well, especially if you're an entrepreneur, like I know I am. I know my brother has this issue. I know a lot of other people. It's like you hit some big win and you're like, woo, on the next thing. Like, it's like a millisecond of like, cool, we did it. I need more now. And like, you don't even recognize that the importance of
Yeah.
that moment that you're hitting and actually enjoying it. Right. Like, I know we're going to talk about 80/20 and data and all that kind of stuff, but I'm glad you brought this up because it's such an easy thing for entrepreneurs to not realize. And like the way my coach explains it is like you'll never be there, right? Like whatever your end goal is, like that's cool. You're working towards something, but like you're living right now. You're going through everything now. Like might as well celebrate it and enjoy it while you're doing it instead of being miserable to some fictional point at the end that may or may not happen. And I think you've said it. It's like just because you want something to happen in a certain way doesn't mean that's how it's going to turn out. And you're hoping for that specific thing to happen, right? So, yeah, I'm glad you brought that up.
Quit making so many rules about how you get to celebrate. That's a big one. Like we really want to define what the win is, but you said it, man, and that hit me about 5 years ago pretty hard in my entrepreneurial journey of results aren't all they're cracked up to be. And I came up with a little formula for them where results are simply the byproduct of action plus time or action times time, whichever one. And time's going to go by. And no matter what, an action's going to happen, right? Like you think about a lot of people, health is their concern. If your action each day is to go home and just sit and do stuff, like sit and do nothing and snack, that's an action. 100%. It's an action. If you do it long enough, it'll create a result, which is you're probably not going to feel so good. And it's the same way. Like, what action do you want to do? Just do it long enough. That's the key. And most of us get obsessed with doing super hard stuff. I don't want to do the super hard. I remember that route. Like, do the really easy things for a long time. Let's see how that works out for you. That is the hardest thing I've ever done. Right? Like, it is the hardest thing I've ever done is the simple stuff over and over and over. However, it's what creates everything you want. And that's not, I think as an entrepreneur, that's what we don't want to hear either. Like we like the flashy thing. We want the hard thing. I want it to be this, I want this daredevil maneuver where like, oh, I was having a blow, you know what I mean? Like you want it, but it's like, no, you don't. No, you fall enough times, you realize absolutely not. That's not what I wanted at all. I want this to be as easy as it can be. In the words of Dr. Jeff Spencer, you want your anxiety low, 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 low. Like the point isn't to be freaking out. That doesn't help.
That's no fun. That's no fun. I've been there and it sucks.
Well, sadly, you're kind of taught sometimes it's what you should be doing. Like, well, if it isn't terrible, you're not doing it right. Like, we got to like sprinkle some salt on that. There is a time in life where it's hard and it sucks and you got to get through it, but it's not always supposed to be that way.
No. And I think it's like, so that's a good point. Cause it depends on your life's never going to be perfectly easy, right? Like you're always going to have challenges and things you have to get through, but that's how you grow and that's how you become a better person, a better business owner, father, husband, or whatever. But for me anyway, what really clicked for me in the last year or so is like, even if there's shitty stuff going on, you can still enjoy it. Like
Mm,
you can enjoy the process that you're learning something new that you didn't know, and maybe you're being forced to learn something now to help you in the future. And while it might suck, it might on the outside suck, but it's like, why be miserable the entire time you're going through
yeah.
this? Like a good example, last year I had to be here at Ballpoint for 32 days straight while we were fixing some things, weekends, like 12 to 15-hour days every single day. And the first like week I was fucking miserable. I was like, dude, this is
I
the
remember that.
worst
I think
thing.
I texted you a couple of times during that, and there was
Yeah.
like zero response. Just Justin's
Yeah.
not here right now.
Yeah. At first it was, man. And it was, you get so much into your shit. But then I had a talk, I think, with my coach about it. And he's like, you're making this hard by thinking of it that way. He's like, what do you like doing when you're working? And I was like, fucking listening to music. He's cool. Just throw that shit on, make it loud as hell, have fun, and just do what you're doing. You're there anyway. Why be miserable? Like, it's a good
Exactly.
point. You can choose to find a way to enjoy the shitty things that are going on.
Exactly. There was a book I read, Mark Manson, The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck. Read
Oh,
that
dude, I
one.
love that book.
I was probably 7 years ago now, man. It's been a
Yeah.
hot minute. It was one of my early reads. And one of my biggest takeaways from that book that has always stuck with me is you can't give a fuck about everything, but you have to give a fuck about something. And when you choose to give a fuck about it, you're choosing all the things you have to give a fuck about. Right? Like it includes all the hard. You chose it, but you chose the hard. That's why it's good. You
Yeah.
chose this. Don't forget you picked it. And I loved that position. So like that was like a place I always try to stay in life is I chose this. And whenever I find myself not telling me that story, that's one of my indicators I use. One for growth. Like, okay, how did I get outside my story? How did life get me in a way where now I'm back in like the mode
Mm-hmm.
versus like behind that veil of, what is life actually delivering? How does that fit into all of this actually? What is actually happening? That's one of my favorite questions. Like, what's
Yeah.
actually happening? Right.
Yeah.
And that's where in sales, so my sales background, I used to feel so bad whenever I had to do cancellations or retrades or things like that. I would feel all these different ways about things that honestly they just weren't mine to feel. I just knew it'd make other people uncomfortable. So like it's
Mm.
a thing about yourself where you don't have to get yourself all uncomfortable just because what you have to say might make other people feel uncomfortable, right? It just is what you have to
Good
say,
point. Yeah.
right? It's especially when it comes to sales and your process. As salespeople, we'll get put in positions where we want to break our process just to get the sale. That's not a good move. That's
No,
not a good
it's
move.
not.
That breaks your system. That isn't like it breaks everything, especially as you build a bigger and better business. Nobody breaks it. Your
Yep.
expectation is the expectation, and everybody does the same thing. And as long as you don't break that, no one breaks the system. You create ways for internal feedback and all of it, but no customer gets to come in and say, okay, you're going to do it this way for me. And
Mm-hmm.
that's where, as vendors, like being someone who was an investor and in the space and now someone that works primarily as a vendor to the space,
Yep.
that's what I find so interesting about this concept now is just I get to live outside the bottle. That's one of my dad's favorite statements. It's hard to read your label from the inside of the bottle. It's so
Mm-hmm.
true, right?
Yep.
It's what makes therapists so valuable. It's what makes coaches so valuable. Just someone who can look at your shit and say, oh, well, that just goes here and this goes here and this goes here and you're good,
You see
right?
it a
And
lot
it's like,
easier.
golly, man, why couldn't I see that? Well, unless you're dyslexic like me, you can't read the label. It's backwards from the
Yeah.
inside of the bottle, right? Like, so I got a little life hack there, but it's true. It's so
Yeah.
true, and that's where it's kind of how I approach it is using all my real estate experience to understand that who's getting on that call with me when we're doing a demo and we're digging in on how our data helps a business owner. One, we're very specific on the business owner we're talking about, and it's not for new people. We
Yeah.
didn't want to build a solution for newer people in the business, and there is a distinct separation. It just is. You stay in this business long enough, you'll find cycles, right? I've noticed some at 2 years and 4 years that are pretty significant,
Mm-hmm.
just with people deciding to stay in, right? At 2 years, 2 years, you realize this is a people business and you decide if you want to stay in or not. Really,
Yep.
it really, like, you dealt with enough of the psychological trauma of it all, of the fact that when you're buying deals at a discount, you're buying people's life problems in the form of a house,
Right.
right? It's very valuable. It's highly lucrative, but you are doing that. It is in your best interest to get really good at helping people through some of the hardest times they're going to experience.
Mm-hmm.
And that's washes a lot of people out. They
Yep.
either don't find the value in the money big enough, or they are not built to deal with people that way.
Yep.
That's okay. It's a good thing to know. And then the next 2 years, I think that's, my opinion, is where they really decide what kind of business they want to have. In that space, I see a lot of folks either move to I call it, my definition for it is the lifestyle version, where you're not really building a business that's very process driven or structured so much, but you can do 4, 5, 6 flips a year. You make a lot of money. Like, you base
Yep.
your life, you
And you
live your
go and
life
do
based
whatever the
on
hell you
just
want.
a few deals. Yeah, that's it. And I love it, man. Do that. That's not what we do. There's another version of someone that gets in this business that they want to be the CEO of something. Their legacy is owning a business. The fact they chose real estate, that has to do with another personality trait in their world, not because real estate made them want to. And that's a very unique position in our world. That's how the founder of 80/20 got into it. He owned multiple companies before he built this, and this is just part of what he does. And I like that position, right? As we were talking
Yeah.
about, getting to go after getting to talk to a possible customer from the place of, hey, one, I know what you need, and I'm coming from a really good place. Like, I don't have any desire to take your money. I don't need your money. I need it to work. If it works, you'll stay. And
Yeah.
that's all that really matters as a vendor, right? Like, if it works, you'll stay. It doesn't matter if I have a great sales presentation. None of that, man. Like, cool, I can convince you to buy this, but in 2 months, are you still using it? You know,
That's the important part. Yeah.
right? Our product has a 12-month commitment in the first year, right? That actually, it does a good job at leveling people out, which is what it's supposed to do, because the people that don't mind it, it's fit for. You know what I'm saying? Like, they're going to plan on doing something for a long time. And that's what we're after. And we have a whole reason behind it. And anyways, I kind of went off
Yeah.
there, but
No, you're good, man.
it's just the mindset behind it all. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, and for those who are listening who have never heard of 80/20 or don't know what you guys do, what exactly is 80/20 and how can it help other people?
Yeah. So here's how it works. 80/20 REI is a open system where basically what we can do is bolt on to your company and help you with all the data you need, the strategy you need behind it, the monthly optimization of it, management, refreshing of it, that the data part of your business. And here's why we're good at that. Our co-founders own a sister company that does over 100 deals a year already. That is where 80/20 REI was born.
Mm.
This tool was not created to sell. That's not what happened. Our business coach, a guy by the name of Gary Harper,
Oh
said,
yeah.
y'all, he actually told him, you're really good at lead generation, not so good at real estate. If you ever thought about it, you might want to do this. That set Jesus free. Really, it did. That's
Mm.
what he loves to do. He's a lead gen guy. He has a Steve Train podcast out where he talks about, he used to run the largest online poker organization in South America. Dude's got history and super fun stories. And what he did was just go apply it to real estate. And basically, someone saw it in his business and said, hey guys, will you sell this to other companies that I know that are really high level? So our average customer does 150 deals a year, and we've got folks doing more and more than that. But it's for, again, like we were talking about earlier, if you build the company, what we're going to give you is the data, the strategy, and the monthly maintenance you need on it to get it month after month after month. Because we're not, at this point, deals aren't a surprise. It's
Right.
not magic what makes them. There's a
Yeah.
very good process that does it. You've built a machine and you need really good fuel to put in it now, because that's the trade-off. Investors get really good, and we all got to start the same way when it comes to data. You got to get it and mail it and call it and do your stuff. Just shake it out. Learn how to
Yep.
do real estate.
Start somewhere.
And then there's a point where it switches. Now you need to leverage what you're really good at. Be the salesperson. Bring something in that does this well for you. Because if you're calling houses you don't even want to buy and all these things, you're just wasting money and a lot of it.
Yep.
We had a customer last year come in. They had 5 in-house cold callers. We found them spending $175,000 a year calling houses they did not want. That's real money.
Not even houses they want.
7 figures in opportunity costs lost because they were at the wrong house at the wrong time. That's what you don't want to do at scale. Time is important in every part of the deal. Make sure your people are in the right place using data-driven decisions. That's what we're about.
Yeah. That's an important thing too, because a lot of the times, like when people start and when they find us or, other companies, other vendors that we work with and know, that's the number one question is, well, what list do I do? And it's like, it's such a subjective thing, right? Like
loaded.
What's your buy box? What are you after? What are you trying to do? Like there's so many different things on there. And the way that you guys present stuff, I think makes it a lot easier to cut through a lot of that stuff, right? Because like we can pull data through various sources, but it's like it's a very manual process, right? For us, for the client, all that kind of stuff. Where you guys come in is they have a list every month that they know to mail based off of certain markers of where they need to be hitting people.
Exactly.
And that's why you guys have, what's your renewal rate? Like 98%?
It's a little over 97%.
97%. Yeah, that doesn't suck.
No. And we've only, here's what we realized, man, in the data game, customer experience is everything. It's everything. There's only so many customers at the top that do business the way we talk about in reality. When we were talking about that little fold of 2-year to 4-year. After that 4-year mark, there are some more. There are some more layers to that I didn't get into, but it's just not many people build something that does more than 40 deals a year. And that's kind of our entry point. If you're doing about 40 deals a year, unless your primary dispo is fix and flip, if your primary dispo is fix and flip about 20 deals a year, if that's what you do heavily, what we do will start to make sense. If you're doing at least 40 deals a year, mix or only wholesale, what we do is going to start to make sense because you've built something on purpose. That's what you've done. Like you're actually doing something. Right. And on that scale, we got tons of people, right? I know some good friends of mine, they only want businesses that do about 60 deals a year because it creates the life they want. And it's never going to go over that. And that's fine with us. Perfect. We'll be able to make sure that the houses you buy are always the best ones for you, right when the right time is. And that's good. I work with folks that they're after more, tons more. How do we get more? What's a growth strategy? After we max out this market, where can we go next? Awesome. What do you want to do? We're going to dig into that too. And that's what we try to be, is at that next level of where you want to scale, you need a really good data solution. Unless there's only one reason you wouldn't. You're a data person. You're one of I think it's about 0.5% of people that get into this business. And what you'll do is build an in-house elaborate solution every time. You know how I know this? Because I work with one of them. His name's Jesus, and he did it. And I know other ones. And you'll do it because you won't trust us. You'll only trust you. You'll trust that you're better at it than everyone else. And now you found something that you really like.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's how you get like Jason Lewis creating his whole own company out of it. When I met him, he was just a real estate investor, and now runs a data service as well. And he is a data guy through and through.
It just layers on top of itself. And that's where, kind of looping back on our conversation earlier about entrepreneurs, you have to set yourself up to success. That is what you have to do at the highest levels. As you're a few years into it, depending on what you've built, you need to know the parts of what you do that suck the life out of you. You have to. And you have to offset those somehow. Because if you don't, you've maxed out your level of growth right there. And always, like personal growth max, because you can't be super anxious and grow personally all the time. Right. You can't be only in survival mode. There's a talk I'm working on right now called "There Are Better States Than Survival Mode." but
Yep.
so many of us love it so much, like the back against the wall feeling. I was obsessed with it. Honestly,
Oh yeah.
my whole story came from pure ass survival, and it's always ended in just destruction because you'll break your shit to keep surviving. That's the problem. You'll
Yeah.
get into a station of life where things are good. Oh, wow, things are great. But you've never lived that way before. You
Yeah.
live in a way where things are not great. I gotta blah, 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 blah. Like,
Yep.
whoa, 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 whoa. And
Well,
that's where in my latest rebuild in life, like if you're not willing to rebuild in life, just quit. Because it's what it requires. Like you got to be able to reinvent yourself over and
yep.
over and over again based on what life delivers.
Yeah.
And in that process and allowing it to have its full effect, in each one of them.
Yep.
So that
There's a good book
oof,
that talks about that, The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks, which I'm sure you've read.
that's
Like
it, man.
it talks about upper limiting yourself, and like you're raised and conditioned to a certain level of success or happiness or freedom or autonomy, like there, whatever the category is, you've got a certain level where you're like, once you get to that point, like I'm going to break this so I don't, because I don't know how to handle this anymore, right?
Yep.
And something my brother and I used to say all the time is like, dude, we work best with our backs against the wall. And it's like, yeah, I mean, it forces us to be creative, but like it also sucks. like like you said,
Terrible.
being stressed all the time and anxious, and what am I going to do, and loss of sleep and all this kind of stuff. And it's like once you work through that personal development stuff and can raise what that ceiling is and get a little bit better, and that's why you said you're rebuilding constantly, because it's like once you get to a place where you're like, okay, I feel a lot better, you find out, oh, there's another level to this. There's more that I can do. There's more that I can be changing and adjusting and tweaking. That's going to benefit me in business and life and as a husband, a father, all that kind of stuff.
Exactly, man. And you got to allow it. You got to be open to it. I
Mm-hmm.
was having a call this past week with a coach, very, very good dude, high, been doing it a long time. And one thing he was talking about was just there are natural times in life where you're going to be able to believe things you're currently not able to believe.
Mm.
And it just happens with getting older. It is just what happens. And when I look at my story, it hit me at 30. I'm 38 now, turning 39 this year. At 30, I was able to believe things I was not able to believe before that very moment. Like it is significant. We discussed that. He said that won't be the last time you experience that. He's currently 73. So he was explaining
Mm.
some other things he's seen in his life and was saying things that are documented for thousands of years that Marcus Aurelius is credited with saying is the same thing these people notice. And to me, that's the shortcut.
Hmm.
Right. If that's what it really is, then I'll operate with the fact that I don't know everything right now. And that's okay. That's why, hold on, where is it? That's that's why I love the concept of infinity. Infinity, it to me, I draw it like this. Oh, can you see it? Hold on. Oh, it's so bright.
There we
Right.
go.
It's a line and it never touches itself, but it always keeps going. And you
Yeah.
always have to allow for that gap. Always, because in that gap is the new information that you just don't know yet. Right.
Hmm.
And so to me, I want to keep that line as clean as I can. If I can keep that line all the way added up to where it's the arrow, then I'm ready to take in all the new information. And then I can short circuit all the things, the stories I've told myself, right? So all of us have the line, and these are all your life. How many of those stories have you got figured out, right? What story are you telling yourself that's creating that gap in the middle,
Mm.
And that allows me to always remember there's a part I can't know. Just it's because of age, it's because of experience, it's because of so many things. And when I allow for it, stress goes away, especially in business, especially in the big things we try to do. We want to be so certain. We just want to know it's going to work out so bad. And that's part of the fun if you're sick enough. Is living with is accepting that is a good feeling. There's a quote. I hear Paul Sparks say this one a lot. He said, it's a friend of mine. He runs a group called Whale Club. We prefer, and it's a quote from somebody else. I just don't remember who said it. We prefer the misery of we prefer the certainty of misery over the misery of uncertainty.
Hmm.
Meaning we will make ourselves miserable on purpose versus just what if
Because you know what
allowing
it
something
is.
amazing to happen,
Yeah.
right? Which goes right back to The Big Leap, Gay Hendricks. Dude, that book had a profound impact on my life.
The first
Profound.
time I read that, I was like, holy shit.
It is one of the few I have on a rotation that I'll read multiple times, and
Yeah.
I'll listen to it again. Actually, one of the statements he says is a built-in feature in one of when I start to feel super stressed or like my system starts to feel off, the first question I ask now is what big things are coming my way?
Mm-hmm.
What big things are coming my way? What good things? It's coming out there. That's a good thing. That feeling doesn't mean bad. That one means good, which is directly what he talks about in that book.
Mm-hmm.
And upper limit syndrome, you're the one that allows you to feel everything you allow to feel. Now, man, super personal. I applied that to love in my life. When I read that book for the first time, I just met my now fiance and was in the beginning of growing that relationship. And what that book helped me do was realize that I'm the one who allows how much love I get to feel. She can tell me she loves me so much as she wants, with her whole heart, all these things. It doesn't matter how much she says it. It's up to me to allow myself to feel that.
Mm-hmm.
And based on my life experience, I'd found these upper limits of how much I let myself feel all kinds of stuff. Like love
Yeah.
was just one of them, and a way to intentionally raise that bar. So now when she says, I love you, I let it mean everything she wants it to mean.
Mm.
And it was powerful. Like there is more available to you in your life if you will just be literally just let it in. You just got to let it
Be
in. It's
receptive to
there.
it.
It's
Yeah.
there. You just got to allow it to permeate yourself. Tell yourself the right story about it. And
Mm-hmm.
that's something your coach Mike Kitko and we had a call a while back based on your recommendation where we went off for a hot minute
Yeah.
about this whole concept. Like we both think very similarly about the story you're telling yourself and where it comes from. We both have experience coming from extreme Christian backgrounds, although he's Catholic, I'm Protestant, so I didn't even believe he was a Christian growing up. So it's
Yeah.
like we had this whole fun
Same.
talk about it. We had this whole fun talk about it, and it was just super powerful. But it's so true, man. It is. I get really hyped up about it because if you'll let that really get through your heart as an entrepreneur, it can permeate your business.
Mm-hmm.
And this is something we're very big about at 80/20. At the events I go to, the calls I do, one thing we want you to know is who we are behind it all. What matters most when it comes to a vendor is who they are. At the top, we're all supposed to be the best. We're like when I pass somebody to ballpoint, I know they're going to get taken care of. I have
Right.
zero doubt. I know what's going to happen because I know you show up in your life every day. Because I know you.
Yeah.
You, the person behind you. That's what I care about the most, is the guy behind it. Because one day we're going to have an experience where both of us fuck up at the same time and it costs the customer a bunch of money. It just is. It's the reality of it happening. What are we going to do? If
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know you, that shit could get sideways quick. And
Yeah.
I'm sure other people have been in it where you get stabbed in the back real fast when something goes wrong. You'll
Yeah.
find out who your friends are in the vendor space,
Mm-hmm.
who tosses you under the bus and who doesn't. Because reality is it's just life. It's on all of us, most likely. All of us could have done a little better. How do we get better? And
Yeah.
that's one of the reasons we create the experience we do at 80/20 that drives that 97% is we will call ourselves out. We have an open environment to admit we messed up, say it, and fix it.
Yep.
How do we do it? How do we do it faster? How do we know quicker? And it's built into our whole culture from Jesus on down. And that is really, I think, what makes us special is the way our leadership team works together, how all of us are passionate about personal development. We pass that down into our teams. I know I lead my daily huddles with my sales team. It always kicks off with, I have a thing I call the gratefulness triangle, which is a little
Okay.
activity I made up where I just draw a triangle. It's on my desk in front of me every day, and at least 3 corners get filled every day. And it can be the same thing. I'd put the same 3 in every corner, Nicole, Nora, Micah, which is my fiance and kids, and my dog, Lido. She goes under Nicole every day. I'll always have 4 because there's always something to be grateful about. And then I mix it in, man. Like today, what else? Self-trust. I'm so grateful for self-trust today. It's a concept I'm really trying to bury deeper into my heart, really trusting. And I'm just grateful for it. So I put it there. And I start every day with them. Guys, what's in your triangle? And they tell me. And then we lead off into the next thing of really being intentional about where we're coming from, of when issues happen. Hey, what really happened? What actually happened? I don't care who did it. I will most likely I'll fall on the sword for you. I don't mind taking the heat. It's what a good leader does.
Yeah.
And then they learn how to pass it down. Like, okay, but you can't do that again. I will gladly hold the shield and take this, but you got to learn. Yep. And really build an environment where they get to grow as people too. Where when you wake up and go to work, I can tell you this, if it don't fill your emotional cup first, it can only pay your paycheck or your financial cup. It'll only fill your financial cup for so long.
Yeah.
Because we just, as humans, that's not what we're meant to do. We're not. Yep. We're not meant to just completely kill ourselves for money. There's a better way. We've actually, in my opinion, we've got to see about 70 years of people doing that. And I think that's what makes our generation so different, along with time and randomness of internet, even COVID. Like COVID was a crazy thing. However, the accepted nature of virtual environments now.
Yeah.
Right. But look, it's now where I FaceTime my friends now around the nation, and I'm actually feeling like I hang out with them.
Yeah.
That didn't feel like that before. It required us to tell a new story about what FaceTiming was when at a time we couldn't go see each other.
Oh yeah, dude. I can't tell you how many Zoom calls or FaceTimes I did. Yeah.
Right. But that's literally it was just something happened to us that we had to accept and deal with, and it changed a belief about. Well, now this counts. That's where I use COVID as a big example in my life. If I can justify and allow that many changes for the better, where am I really kinking my system? Right. Yeah. Like we took things and changed and man, like if it's that possible, if it's so clear that it's that possible, where else can we apply it?
Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And it's especially from a business standpoint when COVID really started happening. Like I had the benefit of one of my companies already being virtual. So like we had kind of set some stuff in place there, but it also showed us like not only us, but I think anybody that had people in their house or in their actual company working at a physical location about how much more efficient people can be when they have more freedom and when they have more autonomy and things like that in a business and have a really good culture. And that's one thing I love about our sister company called Porter is like, we have 20 something people that work from home and it's one of the best cultures in any of our companies. And like, you know, we have a good one here at Ballpoint, but I know Call Porter's better. Like it's a different environment. Like people have more freedom, more flexibility, more ability to spend time with their kids and things like that, which when you're doing mail, you kind of have to be here, unfortunately. But, you know, it taught us a lot of just like how cool it is to be able to have that type of environment, even when like the world is in a shitstorm, right? At that point of nobody knowing what's going on and how you can make stuff better while you're doing that. It's pretty cool.
It is, man. And we're 80/20 REI is completely virtual too. We're all over the world, multiple countries. And it's so fun. We're really big on making sure if you're, you know, there's that whole virtual in-house argument. And it's like, the thing is, there's no right answer.
No,
some of us are not built. Some people don't want to work at home.
True.
Don't. That's where in our hiring process, we are very intentional about the people we bring in, that we're setting them up to their strength. Is whatever you're doing, is this what you like to do? Will doing this fill you up, not just pay you, really getting them in a place where that activity, I mean, even down when you're using people from the Philippines, it's nighttime. If you're working a daytime shift, it's nighttime. So my assistant's from the Philippines, and I asked her, are you sure you like this? And based on who she is and what she likes to do, it's right up her alley. She's going to be awake anyways. It's just what she'll already be doing.
Yeah.
Why not use it, this thing that's already unique about you, to your advantage? Boom. That's the beauty of it, is if you're built for it, use it, whatever you're built for. it's worth knowing what it is. And I think that sets us up. That goes into our retention rate. That goes into all that we do, man. And we like being that intentional about it. That's our word. We want to be known. We're usually called the 80-20 guys. We want to add like a little sentence. They're really intentional. Like
Yeah.
that's our buzzword. And our buzzword in house is intentional.
Okay.
Is like everything we do, we just want to do it on purpose. Data-driven decision making. We don't want to just sell an idea. We want to live it out. So how can we apply it too? And as we do that, man, it creates the results you want. Internally first in your team, which is so important. It's a team. I'm big on that. I actually have an axe to grind on folks that call it a family. Family's not a good word for everybody. It's just not. When you say it, it's not. But all of us want to be on a team. Like we like that. Let's be on a team. And then when you're on a team, there's this responsibility involved. Where are you going to practice? Are you doing your stuff? Are you like doing the part that when we're actually playing the game, it works? And really helping them understand what the game is. I love it that way. And it gets buy-in in a way that people enjoy it. You know, it's not.
It doesn't have the guilt behind the phrase family could have, right?
Exactly.
Like I have to perform because, you know, we're family, or I have to do good because of this. It's like, no, I want, for me, because I agree. Like I've worked at companies before where that was our motto, right? It was like, we're a family. And like as a manager, like I had to talk about that all the time. And I always just felt weird about it. I was like, none of these people are buying into this. It just feels like bullshit. Like it really does. But I want people that want to be a part of a really good team that want to make a difference in whatever we're doing, right? And that are willing to put in the time and the energy. And like I said, people that are hungry for self-development, like that's a huge thing for me. Like even if all of our employees might not be at the same level of desire for personal development, there's something there, right? There's a little bit, and it's something that can grow. And it's like, because ultimately there's, you know, it kind of goes back to the limits or things like that. Like you can handle your business up to a certain point until you have to become a different person to go to the next level. Right. And you have to be able to, I mean, I'm sure Jesus has done that. I know you have, I know I have, where it's like, dude, 5 years or 6 years ago, like I had never ran a company ever. Like I didn't know shit about anything. I was like, I'm just going to figure this out, I guess. And it's just constantly developing and growing and getting to those different levels. But I like having our team that does that same thing, right? Like, dude, Vinny, who's not here today, he decided to start doing real estate investing on the side, and like locked up 3 deals in his first month, like just on this, like just out of his own volition. Like he's doing it with a partner. Actually, one of the guys from Deal Machine is working with him. They're partnered up on stuff. But yeah, he was like, yeah, I just decided, like, you know, I'm 40, you know, or I'm about to turn 40. I need to do some new stuff. And, you know, I won't give out numbers yet because he wants to wait until they actually close and the money's there. But like got 2 or 3 deals under contract in the first couple of weeks. I'm like, dude, that's awesome. Like that's the kind of stuff I love seeing with our team.
Yeah. It's letting them be free to do it. We've had a couple of our team members. One, she is in South America, and one of her dreams was her and her sister wanted to run a school, own a school, and teach where they lived. She basically took what she learned at 80-20. She really figured out how all the real estate parts worked. Worked with us for a few years, working with Jesus and them. She ended up flipping a piece of land in South America that had a building on it, put it under contract, sold off half the plot. Not only did it buy the rest of it, it funded her school for like 3 years.
That's cool.
Something like that. And then she left. And we were so pumped. Like, obviously, we're sad you left. However, like, way to go.
Yeah.
Way to go. We did our job then. Like, you came in, learned. And that's why I like the team mentality so much. No one plays on the same team forever, for the most part. And that's okay. And that's why I like the idea of teamwork and not family. When you say family, you can't leave your family.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you can't. Like, even if you go through the whole legal system and do it, you will never get away from the fact that that's your blood family. You just won't. And
Totally there.
that's what I don't like about that term. It's trapping. And it means you can do anything to me you want. I just have to fucking love you. That's bullshit, because that's
Yeah.
what people say about your family. Not true. So in the team environment, it allows them to be open. It allows them to really participate. It allows them to mess up. We do a
Mm.
thing. So we have huddles every day at middle of the day. And on Mondays and Tuesdays, we have people give motivational videos and stuff. But it's people from our company. They get drawn. You get on a little wheel and you get drawn and you come in. I love it, man. Like
Hmm.
seeing other people put out their stuff, different videos, things from all around the world. It's actually, I've changed the way I celebrate some holidays based on stuff I've seen people share,
Hmm.
because I realized, in America, we pretty much only celebrate holidays for one day. And the exposure to all these people from around the world, to Christmas, or not this past Christmas, the one before, they put up our HR put up a thing about the way this holiday gets celebrated around the world. Dude, minimum days everywhere else you have a comparable holiday, it's like 7 days
Hmm.
minimum.
Yeah.
And we celebrate it for one. And that really made it feel like this, just like an entrepreneur of, you only get results one day and then it's in and out. It's not celebrating. So what I've actually done past 2 years, about 5 days before, we'll start giving out a couple gifts and a couple
Nice.
gifts and a couple gifts, so that you actually get them. You get to appreciate them, hold on to them, love on them. I'm divorced, so my kids are only with me every other Christmas. So this is what we do when I have them, is this is what it's going to be, so that you get this like 5 to 6 day experience of all your stuff, not just everything dumped at once. And then it's like you're overstimulated. Then you don't play with any of it. Like
Yeah.
you didn't even appreciate any of it, only the coolest thing. Where what
Mm-hmm.
if I would have given you those little things earlier throughout the week? Now you're like, oh, I love this. I love this. And you're still building up the cycle
Yeah.
to the big thing.
That's cool.
And that's where I've shifted my whole philosophy in life of everyththing's not on the way. It's along the way.
Yep.
That's what's beautiful. It's just along the way. Get to live it.
That's cool. I like that because I see it with my kids. I've got 3 of them, and how many do you have? 2.
2.
2. Yeah.
Right now,
So like
2.
Christmas morning, it's like it's just a tornado of paper and presents all over the place, and like, oh, this is cool. What's next? Like, like immediately, like, and we've intentionally like cut back on the amount of gifts we're giving to make it more quality versus quantity, right? And have it be something that we try and have it be like useful, or different. Like we'll have books and stuff that they can use, but like this last year, for example, we went the day after Christmas. We took the camper down to Florida or Gulf Shores, and stayed at a campground for a week with the kids. So like there was a theme to all the gifts of like, this is all stuff we're going to use the whole time we're there. And then when we go on spring break camping trip next month, you're going to use it again. And like, it's a lot more, less consumerism-y, I guess. Like, not as just like,
Well,
oh, I got,
intentional.
yeah. It's more intentional behind it.
And that's what gets you more out of life. Doing anything on purpose will always get you more, because you just pay attention to it. You actually focus. You look around. I like to walk a lot, and my walks are not like tune outs. They're like tune ins. It's like resetting myself back to awareness, looking at the trees around me, listening to the birds again. Typically in my day, if I get about a 10 to 15 minute gap between meetings, it only takes me 12 minutes to get around the small side of my neighborhood.
Okay.
I'll text my assistant, text me if you need me, and I'm going around. And it's this little reset, this back to reality. This is what real life is, right? In the end, this 1 hour recording, this is performance. This is where all the things we've ever done in life and got to do earned us a right to talk on this show.
Yeah.
But after this, we're going to go right back to our real everyday life. That's where living is happening. It's in the mundane moments, and creating ways for those to be happy, for those to be intentional.
Yep.
That's been my last 3 years intentional work in life, is
like
really living in a way where it's about the day itself. You and I had to talk last year about what's your daily life look like. I actually had to rewrite my document yesterday, discussing it with my fiance, because we're getting married this year. There's some things we're working on about, okay, we're going to heavily adjust our daily life in about a year. What do we actually want it to look like? what are we imagining? What are the real possibilities we want to take place then? So that as we get to it, one, you realize how much of your life you're already living. Like I'm already living most of it. Not many details need to change for that next piece. But what it also shows you is how to protect the parts you don't want to change. Because as entrepreneurs, as we add more, it makes us more busy. We'll fill up our calendars quick. Give us that little feeling of we're doing something. And we'll mainline that shit. Like, oh, this feels like progress. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're moving now, baby.
I'm busy again. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And it zooms out, and reality is you're like head against a wall, and you're just running, and you're only kicking up dirt. Nothing's
Look at
actually
your calendar,
happening.
and you're like, I hate this week. Like, this is going to be fun.
This is terrible.
We're reading a book right now called "Be Your Future Self Now" by Dr. Benjamin Hardy. I don't know if you've read that or not, but he talks literally the chapters we read last night was talking about building your calendar for your future self, right? And it kind of goes back to that, right? Like if you're focused on just mundane, non-important, like urgent, he calls them urgent, non-important tasks, right? Like just because it's urgent doesn't mean it's important, right? And if you have something you're working towards, whatever it might be, and you have a greater vision and goal for your life, try and focus your appointments and your weeks around that kind of stuff first. And then like for him, he's got Saturday, Sundays, and Wednesdays. Doesn't work at all, right? Those calendars are open. Those are days for him and his family. So like no matter what, meetings are not showing up on Wednesday. I know every single Wednesday I'm off, I'm doing this, yada yada yada. And it helps bring that intentionality behind it. And because it's very easy for me to look at my calendar and be like, how did all this get on here? You know what I mean? Like it was a very good reminder for me where I'm like, damn, I say yes to too many things sometimes that like aren't actually moving the needle or, are not a conducive use of my time right now with what I'm trying to do and accomplish. And like you said, like, dude, I love like right now it's like 70 degrees outside. It hasn't been that warm in Missouri in a minute. So I've been looking forward to after this, like I'm going for a walk too, because I just want to be outside. Right. And it's like building things like that in the winter. It's so easy for me to forget because I'm like, I don't want to go outside when it's 8 degrees outside, but like just building that intentionality in there is so huge.
And that's where it becomes unique to you. Intentionality, the rule book is be intentional.
Yeah.
You get to point it. You point that where you want it. And that's where I have my little mantra. We're all in this together alone. Like I gotta be me. I gotta do me, and I'm the only one who can work on me. And you gotta do the same thing. But if we both do it, what we'll be able to build together will be mind blowing because we're putting in the individual work. I actually put it up. There's a quote by Ram Dass I put on my story on Facebook today. I can't remember it exactly now, but it talks about the same thing. It's just the same exact concept of.
Now I need to look it up.
Yeah, you got to look it up.
Let's
But
see
it goes along exactly what we're talking about. Hold on, let me look it up too. Who's gonna win? Who's gonna win? Handily is my account.
So I can't tell if this is that there's nothing to rush to or away from.
I can do nothing for you but work on myself. You can do nothing for me but work on yourself. Ram Dass. And I completely agree. I say it my way. We're in this together alone.
Yeah.
And it's what makes it fun, unique. It's what kind of lets you away from so many people want entrepreneurship just to be this, just do this and it'll work. And it's not that. It's you got to bring you to it. I steal a John Kim quote. When you do this, you cannot trade your truth for membership. What made you do this is very important. You need to hold on to that forever because that little trait about you is what's going to make you do the next step and the next step and the next step required in your growth.
Yeah.
That you trade that in, you're capped. You shut it off. You can't grow anymore. You've traded you in. You said this is where I stop. And I refuse. That is one thing. I do not trade my truth for membership. I work on how I express that. Right. Sometimes I used to come out where I'd come off a little angry, but now I call it boldness built on compassion. That's what I texted you that recently is like finally a way to get to just what your truth is. You're allowed to hold on to it, and it can be really important to you. And as you learn how to share it, just don't trade it in. It's yours, right? It's not about convincing other people to believe it so you'll believe it. Believe it.
Yeah.
Like, and if you believe it wholeheartedly, so will others. And that's a unique place in an entrepreneur's life, where you go from, you want people to really give you this confirmation that you're doing it, and then all of a sudden you realize if you give it to you, other people will.
Yep.
It's you got to fill that space. You got to give it to you, and the moment you do, everybody else will. And that is it's a loophole. You figure that one out. You can short circuit it, because it is so true. It's you. You're the one doing it to you, and learning how to get out of your own way. That's a whole loop back to what we were talking about before. And as you get further into your entrepreneurship journey, it's about going much slower and saying yes, way less. Like we were just talking about with your schedule. Now I protect my time at all costs, time and access. And people might take that as rude as you go along, that you just limit access to yourself. However, depending on the size of what you're trying to do, or whatever, like what your dream really is, it is a reality. Yeah. Your time is your most important currency, and you have to use it well, even if it means doing nothing. Like I try to be, what I'm currently working on in life right now is being intentional about my rest, because when I rest, I don't feel resting. My mind's still running. I think about stuff. I'll do different things. So if I find, I don't mind if I'm in a resting state looking through stuff on my phone, but if the moment I feel like compulsion take over to like, oh, hold on, that's not resting. Like really being intentional about, am I resting or am I actually not resting? And resting can still be like fucking around in my yard, messing with my canoe. That's not working. It's just doing something besides what I'm working on.
Right.
And if it is physical rest, I didn't get out of bed on Sunday. Man, I drank mimosas and watched TV all day. It was fucking awesome.
Yeah.
But it was intentional. It was a 100% chosen. And what's beautiful about that is when you choose it, when the lazy monster creeps up in your mind and tries to tell you get up and do stuff, you can be like, shut up, I chose this.
Yeah.
I chose this. You don't get to fucking say, because I picked it.
Yeah, this is what I decided to do today. Yeah.
That's giving your power back. That's like really coming at life. I call it, that's how to be human. That's the stuff I love to talk on. Doing it on purpose. Like there's a skill.
Well, it's funny
Apply
too,
that
like,
shit.
the way we'll say it is like, you'll just should have yourself to death. Like, well, I should be doing this. I should be doing that. I should be doing that. And it's like, no, I've decided to do this. And this is what I'm doing right now. Right. Like I remember one time specifically, I think it was my 30th birthday. And like, I didn't do anything all day, right? Like I decided, like in the morning, I was like, I'm just going to play video games. I'm going to hang out on my couch. I'm not doing shit. And by the end of the day, I felt like a lazy piece of shit. And I was like, I just wasted my whole damn birthday. Like, what's the point of all of this? And like, just did that to myself. And I was like, now I'm 34, I'm a little older. So like, I recognize it now, but like at that point I was like, why do I feel so shitty now? like I chose to do this. This is what I wanted to do, is just hang out and not do anything. And it was just one of those things where I'm just like, well, I should be doing something. I should be doing something else. It's like, no, it's okay. Like I chose to do this. That's fine. I don't do this every single day. So totally fine to do that.
Exactly. And that's where you're not trying to argue with that voice in your head. You're 100% right, man. The should haves and all that. And anybody that's listening that's going to practice some of these resting things, that doesn't stop. What stops is your ability not to participate in the I should haves.
Yeah.
Eventually, you just hear less of them. Like Sunday, it's not that I did not hear any I should haves.
Yeah.
Mine are I have tos. I'm really careful on I have tos. I don't have to do anything. I choose to do everything.
Okay.
Like, I'm very careful with those words. Gary John Bishop, his book Unfuck Yourself, about self-talk, that's one of my Bibles. It is. Okay. There are certain things I do not say to myself. I don't say them out loud. I'm very careful with the words, because there's a Bruce Lee quote about this. You don't know you're joking. Your subconscious mind doesn't know that. So you need to be very careful with how you talk about yourself. It's why self-deprecating humor is very funny. People do it very well. However, if you watch a lot of the folks that do it well, they're not happy.
They're miserable.
They're not. You can't you don't know you're joking.
Yeah.
So
Well,
you have to
like you
build a
said, you're,
strong defense around that. Like you're sitting there saying that you're all these things. Guess what? You are then.
yeah.
What you say you are, you are. There's no way around that.
Yeah. No, dude, it's so true because we work a lot in our mastermind that I'm in on like what your future vision is. And when you write it out, and I think you and I might have talked about this before, is you have to be very intentional about and careful about the words you use. Because if you say, I'm not broke, your brain doesn't recognize the not part of that. It just recognizes broke, right? Your subconscious doesn't recognize that. Or I am no longer unhealthy. Well, that, but you change those to I am wealthy, I am healthy, I am, the
Yeah.
ways that you communicate those things, because your brain does, like you said, your subconscious does not recognize that it's not true, or that you're putting a I'm no longer this way. It's just still recognizing those same words. And until you change those words, you change your thoughts and you change your patterns, that's when the results happen.
You want to hear a crazy thought on that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Always.
So I bet you weren't ready to dive off on this.
That's all right. Let's see.
I am statements. So whenever you say I am,
Mm-hmm.
those are some of the most powerful statements you could ever say. And Jesus was one of the few people that heavily pointed it out when he was alive.
Hmm.
If you hear, when you hear people, if what is written down about what he said is actually close to what he said, then I think the term is ego ami, which just means I am. Are you God? He just says, I am. Even asks what's the name of God. It's just I am. I am. I am is the most powerful thing you could ever say in your life. The moment you say, I am something, you are that thing. It doesn't matter what comes after I am. And that's what's so powerful about not. The moment you say, I am not, you are not.
Yeah.
Your brain, like you said, it shuts off. You are not those things. You're
Yep.
just not now. You're not
Yep.
going anywhere. It has to be an I am something.
Yep.
So powerful, dude. And that's ancient. That is an ancient
Mm-hmm.
concept where we've known for a long time. What you say you are, you are. And I like, with intention and knowing I'm fixing to say this, I am very intentional with how I say those two words
Mm-hmm.
because they are relentless in their creation.
Yeah. And I have to be intentional about being intentional with it, because my natural default is to say I am not, or go the negative side of it. And
Mm-hmm.
that's something because like, dude, the first time I wrote out what I wanted my vision to look like for my life, and I got that feedback, I went through and read it, and I was like, oh, the whole thing's fucking wrong. Like every sentence is, I no longer worry about money. Instead of I have abundant amounts of money, right? Like, or, just different things that are in there. And it's such a seemingly minuscule change, but the amount of power behind that difference is crazy, right? It's like,
Yeah.
because you almost look at it as like gratitude as well. Like if you just change your thoughts from negative to gratitude on the day, your day is totally different, right? Like I had someone a long time tell me that like gratitude is the highest frequency your body can operate on.
Yep.
And I took that to heart a long time ago. And anytime I feel like shit and it's, I'm not where I want to be or whatever it is, like the day is just not going the way I want it to, start focusing on gratitude, my day immediately gets better, right? And it's a very similar process of it's a small change, and it doesn't seem like it would make a huge difference, but it really does.
It's a whole, because it's a whole mindset shift. You're literally taking your viewpoint, going whoop. You flip the whole thing, and it changes. You're 100% right. It changes everything, the way you see it. When I was going in 2021, I went through a time where I'd unexpectedly lost a job, and I really chose to figure some things out. Well, that had me delivering groceries for a living, right? Just I lost a couple cars.
Yeah, I remember you telling
I
me
went
that.
down, and I got to a place where I was just trying to pay my daily bills to figure some stuff out in life. I was working with a therapist. He works with people who come out of extreme belief systems. And one thing he really helped me with in that time period was really installing mindfulness and gratefulness as a foundation.
Hmm.
Which mindfulness is just another word for intention, being knowing where when I was walking down those grocery aisles and only making $70 a day, one, I chose it. I could go change this. I am qualified to do a lot of stuff. I have chosen this, so this is not a victim thing. And two, be mindful about it. If you're going to choose it, get the most out of being here. So pick that can of green beans up with a good heart and like do thing after thing. And what it really led to was some very significant experiences in my life where I ran into just people that could not grocery shop for themselves. They had no way.
Yeah.
And it allowed me to access this level of gratefulness of I'm so grateful to live in 2021 in a time where even a sickness took place or a fucking pandemic takes place that creates a platform that allows me to deliver groceries and earn my money while also keeping them alive.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
What kind of work are you really doing here? Are you just delivering groceries now? What are you doing? Right. And it just really unlocked this like mindfulness and this ability to, like you're talking about, when it sucks, there's still something to be grateful for. There is a way to get around that situation to be grateful. And there's a life hack on one about wins. If you feel like you're not grateful because you don't have any wins, find your friends and celebrate theirs. And if you celebrate other people's wins, you'll find more in your own life. I promise you. I promise you. I promise you. Be intentional about it. Be intentional about what good things are happening along the way. Because as entrepreneurs, we can get competitive. We can get like, well, they're here and I'm this. If you'll shift your mindset on that and just really accept together alone, you're in your own journey and you're never going to stop, then no one else matters except your tribe, right? Your folks you're going to be with along the way. That's what really starts to matter. And then from there, it's not a rush. It's not something you're trying to outrun. Again, there's not a finish line. The end is death, y'all.
Yep.
That's the end. That's the true end, especially for entrepreneurs. We don't think about retirement. We don't think about stuff like that. Like, I don't want to do what I'm doing forever, but I'm not going to be not doing unless my shit's fucked. Like, that's the only way. And perfect. That means I got from right now until death, and I'll get there right on time. I don't have to worry about it.
Yep.
And now go about the business of living, which that lets you celebrate other people. Shit, you're doing this right now? Fuck yeah. Way to go. And you really let that well up in your heart. It's winning. We all like the feeling of winning. And when you'll really participate, what we truly want in our hearts is not just to win. It's other people to celebrate our wins with us. And guess what happens when you're intentional about celebrating all your friends' wins?
It's coming back, and they'll recognize the wins before you recognize them.
Exactly. Yeah. And they'll call them out, and you create this ability of like, whoa, it's exactly opposite of what I thought I was supposed to do. And it's what people find in there's a lot of build your business in the open movement. The reason why it hits so hard is because it's just fucking real. It's the reality of things, and it's participating in it. People seeing what it's really like. And that's where I've amended Jesus's golden rule. It's not do unto others as you want them to do unto you. It's whatever you want, give it away. That's the simplified version. Whatever you want in life, give that thing away. If you want love, give away love. You want money, learn how to give away money. You want your friends to say things to you, say it to them. Whatever you want, start giving it away. That's investment. That's literally the concept of investment. Oh, I want more money. Here's my money.
Yeah.
Like literally, it is literally the concept. Whatever you want, give that shit away intentionally. Start putting it out intentionally and it will come back to you. I promise you. I live it out every day. Every day.
Yep.
I've been doing that on purpose for 2 years at least. And every day stuff comes back to me, whether it's from other people or just, great feelings from the universe itself while on my walk.
Yeah.
Right. Like it's feeling good has no price. And it doesn't have to be because awesome stuff's happened. It can just be like, damn, that bird sounds awesome. I feel great.
Yeah.
Like that's real life. My favorite quote I have right now is a good life is made by living the individual days well.
Yep.
And I'm obsessed with the individual days.
Yeah. I mean, that's literally all you have. I had I forget what, I don't know if it was a book or something. I don't know. I don't remember where I heard this. It was a book, a coach, something like that. But said that you never lived in the past. You'll never live in the future. You're only living now. Every single thing that's ever happened to you happened now. And while that's a hard concept for people to understand at first, but like 10 years ago when that horrible thing happened to you, when did it happen to you? It happened now. Like you're just dwelling on something that is a memory at this point, but it happened now, right? Every single moment that you have is going to happen right now. So if you're never enjoying right now, like you're just wasting your life. And that's such it's an easy and challenging concept for people to understand at the same time, because it's like, it sounds so easy, but first time I heard it, I was like, well, no, it happened back then. Like, no, it didn't happen now, because right now is now. It happened back then, right? But realizing that every single thing that actually happens to you will happen in the moment that it happens, and that moment is now, whenever it is, right? And enjoy those moments while you're doing it.
It's true, man. And those kind of truths, you got to let them sink in.
Mm-hmm. Took me a while to grasp that one.
People listening to this, you hear profound quotes and things like that. They're not meant to be understood at once. The best statements change meaning throughout your life. That's what they do, because you grow and you sit with them. So yeah, I encourage, sit with what you just said. Anybody that just heard it, sit with what Justin just said, because it's very powerful and it'll free you. It'll create what we all want. If I could ask, the one answer I hear time and time again, no matter what word they use to say it, entrepreneurs all want one thing: freedom.
Freedom. Yep.
We all want freedom. In some version of it, freedom is what we're after. Only you can give yourself freedom.
Mm-hmm.
To have the freedom to have the things you really want, you got to give it to you first. It comes from you. And that comes with, like you just said, sitting with yourself, man, letting the truth sink in, really thinking on it. That's being human, baby.
Mm-hmm. I love it. This is great, man. Kind of shift gears to wrap it up. How can, if people want to learn more about 80/20 and get more control of their data, the cleaning of that data and the strategy behind how to utilize that data, what's the best way to do that?
Yeah, go to 8020rei.com. There's a book a demo button right there. Easiest way.
Perfect.
Tell me where you came from, and then we'll talk about what you get for what you get special if you come through listening to this.
Cool. Sounds good, man. I really appreciate you hopping on. This was a blast. I knew it would be. But this was better than I expected it.
Chopping it up.
Yep.
Thank you, man.
Awesome. Thanks for coming on, man.
Absolutely.